You're not able to sleep in the nights. Whenever you start thinking, you get completely lost in a chain of negative thoughts. And you keep thinking for hours, random thoughts which finally exhaust. And then you want to just sleep, but you don't get sleep. You see bunch of your hairs falling and they don't seem to stop. Your skin seem to get drier and drier. You feel pain in your back and stiff necks and stiff shoulders. You don't get connected with yourself. You don't feel yourself. Things that made you feel happy and good in the past do not attract you anymore. You just don't want to be with people, but you still want to be with people. You go through a phase where you don't seem to enjoy anything. You suffer from constipation, suffer from acidity, and it seems as if you have given up on your life. You also don't feel yourself anymore, don't like your body anymore. Your heart rate stays over 100. At times, your blood pressure falls below 90 by 60. And at times, it goes high, 150 by 90. At times, your blood pressure falls below 90 by 60. And at times, it goes higher, over 150 by 90. You feel extremely aggressive. You feel completely lost. You don't know how to come out of this. Even if you get sleep, you see nightmares of people chasing you, of snakes, of falling into well. You have anemia. Your blood count is falling, and in the night you feel breathlessness. You don't seem to have any energy at all to get up. If you are the one who is suffering with all the symptoms and you are a female, then you possibly have borderline personality disorder progression. Into a pathology. Hello everyone, I'm Rupam, founder and CEO of Aculi Labs Private Limited, creator of Lifers, and author of the book Intimacy Lost for Man, The Birth of the Luger. I'm also a researcher in the field of pathological progress of borderline personality disorder, and I work with hundreds of girls all over the world every year to help them manage their BPD better. The reason this topic is so important is because almost 30 to 40% of the urban girls are diagnosed with BPD. And in my clinical practice and in my working with females, I have realized that the number is close to over 70 to 80%, which means that Anyone who is in a relationship is most likely may get into a relationship with a girl who possibly has an undiagnosed borderline personality disorder, and which is going to start expressing itself after they become 30. Welcome you all to episode number 35 in Intimacy Laws, and the topic of today's episode is pathological progress of borderline personality disorder and the effect of this pathological progress in the life and emotions of the female and their relationships. For next 1 hour, I'm going to teach you, I'm going to give you the knowledge about this subject, and therefore I would request you that for next 1 hour of class, you are not going to leave this class, you are going to pay your attention, you are going to sit with pen and paper, take down the notes, and then after the class, start thinking about your life. Always remember, the first part of any problem is to understand that problem in deep, acquire knowledge about that problem in deep, and that is how I'm going to help all you females out there in today's episode to make sense out of your life, because suffering is common in life. We all suffer. Life is all about pain. Suffering is not a problem, because as females, you give birth to baby, and what bigger pain than while delivering the baby? That's an extraordinary pain. So suffering has never been a problem for the females. The problem is you seem to have lost hope from the life. You are not finding any meaning of your life. And this episode is all about helping you getting a meaning of your life, understanding yourself better. And if you understand yourself better, a lot of the problems you can solve. A female's body can solve the problems once they understand the problem. Ready? So in today's episode, in yesterday's episode, that is episode number 34, we learned how borderline personality disorder and mood dysregulation gets developed in the females at the first place. I would suggest you that after this class, if you are joining this class, then after this class you may consider freshly to take up yesterday's class also and understand and experience the switch and what the borderline personality disorder is, because in yesterday's class I have given a live demo by triggering you and by taking you through the state switch. So you would probably be wanting to look into that class. So, number 1, borderline personality disorder is at the early stage a neurotic problem, which is essentially a overlapping persona. What is an overlapping persona? We are all social animals, and there are different social environments. We are different with our fathers, you are different with your husband, you are different with your son, you are different with your friends, you were a completely different girl in your college. So you create different personas to deal with different social situations. Remember, on the day of marriage, if you are married, you are smiling even though you were completely irritated. So a smiling bride was your persona on that specific day. So we create this persona, which are nothing but actors, to deal with our social situations. And a girl, because you are socially much smarter, you have much higher oxytocin than man, so you are socially much more active in your young age. You have several social dynamics because a young girl is desired by the society. So you get a lot of attention. You used to get uh, a lot of people used to give you a lot of attention, and a lot of people used to leave seat for you. A lot of people, a lot of guys used to look at you, and therefore the girls in particular creates a lot of personas. For example, a boyfriend, somebody with whom you can get little physical. A good friend, somebody with whom you would not get physical, but you would be living like a friend, and all those things. However, our brain expects a context for all these personas, and it takes 5 years to 10 years for the brain to understand this context. For example, I play multiple roles. I am a teacher, I'm a consultant, I am a scientist, I build technologies, I teach people, I help patients to manage their diseases, I do write a lot of knowledge base, I have a lot of commercial entrepreneurial endeavors. So I play different roles. And each role expects a different version of me. Each role expects that my behavior is different. The way that I look into people is completely different. So, the same way, brain expects females. So, females creates this persona. Strong, independent woman is a persona. Jolly girl is a persona. Childish girl is a persona. Daughter-in-law is a persona. Daughter of mother is a persona. Mother-hating girl is a persona. Father's princess is a persona. Disliking the father is a persona. So there are hundreds of such personas gets created in the brain, and brain connects them through the context. So when I come to teach in these classes, I have been teaching for 14 years, 15 probably. I have taught over 28,000 students. Earlier I used to teach in the classroom. Now I sit in front of the camera and do the teaching. Earlier I used to teach coding, technology, science, and now I teach about life. But my brain knows as a teacher what are the things that is required, and it takes years for the brain to know that. So whenever I start for the teaching, I tell myself, my brain, that now it is time for the teaching. So my physiology, my emotions, my energy, my voice, everything gets changed accordingly. The same thing happens with the females. If you are a working woman, you go to office. You are a completely different woman in the office. You are much more, you deserve much more respect. You look for more growth. You come back home, and then you become the mother. That is, you cook, you serve, you get emotion out of your family, and then when you want to go to bed in the night, you want to feel like a small little girl, you want to be embraced like a small little girl. The problem is that even though you are playing multiple personas, the society is not intellect enough to understand that they are not dealing with the real you, but an actor. For example, Sleeping with the Enemy movie, Julia Roberts is playing the role of a suffering girl who has a narcissist husband. But in real life, Julia Roberts is not a borderline personality disorder girl with a narcissist husband. She is playing that role. And that is exactly the role females play. Female plays a different role to that, with their mother-in-law, with their father, multiple roles. Now the problem is, after a certain time, number of roles get so increased and they're so unstable that your brain just cannot comprehend what you really are. You play so many roles that your brain starts forgetting that who you really are. That's when you stop feeling yourself. And this starts firstly with the expectation that when you feel that you are not able to go back to that childish girl, You remember when you were a very young child, when you were very young, 5 6 year old, whenever you wanted to cry, somebody said, "Don't cry. Why you are crying? Be strong." So you went to your bedroom, you slept with your teddy or your pillow, and you wept. And then next day you created a persona which is a very strong, independent girl. You went out to the world and you showed how cool you are. That was a persona. Inside there was this weeping, vulnerable small girl. You came back home and you did not feel the warmth in your mother's hug. Your mother's loved you, but you did not feel that warmth. You were missing that warmth all along. So you presented a persona that you love your mother so much, but inside you were incomplete. You were getting that incompleteness was growing every day. You were feeling alone. You were feeling like a child who was not really loved by the parents. But how can a child be not loved by the parents? That must have been your wrong thought. That's how you thought. And when you were growing up, those thoughts of not feeling yourself, not being loved by the parents, they gave you everything. They gave you good education, they gave you good home, they gave you time, but somehow you felt that they were not loving you. That's because your mother probably was not as warm. She had a mood swing. She had extreme mood swing. She was suffering with mood swing. So whenever she touched you, her hands did not have the warmth because we have not taught our mothers. Look, anybody can give birth, but only 5% of the females become mothers. Every female can give birth, but only 5% females become mothers. Good motherhood is an extremely rare. So there is in all likelihood, your mother, whenever she touched you, and in all likelihood she might not have touched you in that way. It was always this tussle. And you told yourself that how can my parents not love me? They're good people. I may be something wrong. So you created a persona where your parents loved you, and you went out to the world and you showed that you are competitive. You are no less, and you thought that probably if I was a boy, my mother would have loved me more. So you started imitating them. You started competing in the class. You started bringing more good results, and as you started getting better results, your parents must have told you, look, my girl is so matured, she doesn't cry, there is no difference between boy and girl, look at her educational performance. Now they were just playing with your life at that time. Every human being is different. Men do not go out and complain that they do not have breasts. They do not go out and complain that they cannot hold baby. It pains men. Let me tell you, whenever we see a mother feeding her child, or whenever we see a girl delivering a baby, irrespective of how much congratulations we give them, we feel very envious of them. That's really there, because it's a human tendency to desire what we do not have. So every man desires to give birth to a baby, but we know that we cannot give birth to a baby. But in your case, in the childhood, your parents said that you are a strong, independent girl, you are so matured. And then as you grew up, you advised people, because you are a man, right? You advised people, and they lifted you like this. They said, you are so mature, whatever suggestion you give, that works out so well. Look, in life, those suggestions do not work out, because any change in the life takes 10 years. One suggestion doesn't make any difference in the life. So they again fall. When they fall, they blame you, right? Because change takes 10 years. And one advice, one suggestion doesn't make any difference. That may show some immediate changes, but those changes are just feelings, they are not changes. Change take 10 years, and very few people has those discipline to follow those changes for 10 years. So this is how your progression was, and all along you had a good bit of estrogen, you had a lot of oxytocin, you had a lot of social connection, so you never had to think back in your life. You always thought the life was good, but the clock was ticking. Also, because you considered yourself as a man, and always remember that a female has much less cortisol than a man has. Cortisol is our stress handling hormone. A female has much less testosterone than a man has. She can produce a lot of cortisol and testosterone, but cortisol and testosterone are aging hormones, which means that the more you push yourself, the faster you age, because you have to look. If you are traveling by a car at 40 km per hour, the car is going to give over 20 km per hour mileage, even a bad car. That's the optimal speed of the engine. But when you want to reach somewhere in 10 hours, that at 40 km speed, you can drive optimally, use less petrol, engine will not be heated. But if that 10 hours of journey you want to complete in 5 hours or 4 hours, you'll be pushing your accelerator very hard, right? You'll be pushing your accelerator and you'll be trying hard to reach there in 5 hours. In that case, the engine will be running very fast, not optimally. It will be pushing itself. There will be more friction. It will burn more engine oil. It will burn petrol faster. So at that time, in those speeds, if you are driving over 100 km per hour, at that speed, the mileage of your car is going to fall down to about 12 to 13 km per liter. You'd reach there faster, but the wear and tear in the engine will be is more. The wear and tear in your tire will be more. The wear and tear in your car will be more. And if you do this over a period of 3 years time, up to 3 years, you'll not realize that there is a damage to the car. But after 3 years, the car is going to go to maintenance quite often, because the engine parts have all suffered wear and tear. And that's exactly what happens with the human body. Your body, a female's body, is made ready so that you can give birth to a baby, right? That's your social, that's the reason society values you. Society doesn't value you because you are good looking or anything, because a young girl is important for this society. When we grow older, if there is no young children to replace us, then our old age is going to be quite hard, right? So when we look into a young girl, we see a potential of a mother who will give birth to a baby, whom we can teach. They will grow up by the time we are old, and they will take care of us. That is the reason society values you as a young girl. But as you age, that value decreases, right? As you cross 30, that value decreases, because whenever you are pushing the car at 100 km per hour, the car is going for a lot of maintenance, and nobody would be interested to buy that second-hand car, right? Because the car's engine is not optimal. The same way, no, I'm not drawing a parallel. I'm not saying that you are like car, but I'm giving an analogy. So keep these two distinct. Analogy is not same as calling you car. Again, don't because you are suffering with negative thoughts, lot of thoughts is already coming into your mind. You may already feel very resistant. You may already feel little aggressive, but don't do that, right? Just think, just take the class without letting your memory and without letting your thinking to disturb you at this moment. Alright, so as you go towards 30, your body is already exhausted of cortisol. It has already overproduced testosterone. You've already acted like a man. But then the body's internal wear and tear is so heavy that slowly brain stops producing cortisol. First brain produces a lot of cortisol, but then your body becomes resistant to cortisol, which is there is always a maximum speed of the engine. Even if you push the accelerator faster, the car is not going to move beyond that top speed. Will it ever? No. The engine, all the engines has a maximum reachable speed. Same way, a female body has a maximum reachable speed. Beyond that, when you push your body and your body doesn't take cortisol. So brain produce more cortisol just to push the body a little bit harder. But your body doesn't take cortisol. It cannot push beyond that, because see, if you are angry, your heart rate may go up to 130, but your heart rate, you cannot push your heart rate to 180, right? If you push your heart rate to 180, you may have a condition called ventricular tachyarrhythmia. Your heart may stop working. This is not possible. So there is always an upper limit of how much you can push. But from that young age, when your parents falsely appreciated you for being like a guy and told you that girl and guy are same, they were essentially not encouraging you. They were essentially relaxing their own internal pain of not having a son. And when you become mother, you'll understand that. But if you have become mother with BPD, you already have nothing to give to your child. You can't connect to your child. You can't love your child. You thought becoming mother would be so good. But when you became mother, if you are a mother, you did not feel the child. The child is not feeling you. The child is growing up. If you have a girl is growing up as a BPD girl. And if you have a boy, the boy is growing up as a codependent. So now you don't feel, and you again create a persona. So there are many personas that as a mother, you create a persona of strict mother. There is no such thing as strict mother, there is only mother, right? So you are not able to feel your children, so you become strict. You discipline them, and you say that yes, such disciplines will be required. No, children don't require discipline, they require love. Discipline is only required by the sheep and by cows and domestic animal. We don't, we help children grow. We don't raise them. We raise chickens, we raise lambs. We don't raise our kids, but you say, I'm raising my kids. So if you have become mother, you feel more violent that all my life I thought the motherhood would be so beautiful, but it is not at all beautiful. It is so painful. I get stressed. You have more stress. The problem is you do not have any cortisol. You do not have enough energy left. Your engine is in the maintenance mode. That's how the way when you overpush a car, the engine's wear and tear is more, human body's wear and tear is also more. This phenomenon is called biological aging, because if your heart rate is 60, if you are relaxed, comfortable, you age normally. But if you are running and if you are always aggressive, if you are like man-like, because men have almost 2 to 2.5 times more energy than you can see they eat more, they digest more. Man and woman are not equal, right? And there are many classes over here. So people lie to you. People lie to you so that you don't live your life as girl and chase the masculinity. Because most people are envious of your beauty. Most people are envious of you being a female because they observed you. If you are a beautiful girl, or if you were considered to be as a beautiful girl, then this syndrome is going to be far more. Because in these school days, when you were given all the attentions, when guys were with you, the other girls who were not as good looking, who did not get as much of attention, felt very violent on you, felt very aggressive, felt very extremely jealous. They saw you as a very proudy girl. They, that's what the language the girl says. They saw you as a proudy girl, and what they did was as they produced babies, they taught their babies, children, if they produced, if they became mother of son, they taught those sons not to be after good looks. It's just that they are putting, such females are putting their own insecurities onto those children. They're saying that don't go behind the girls waste your life. Because she is jealous and she feels very, very threatened, and she feels extremely rejected that you, a beautiful girl, being given so much of attention, and why she is not given any attention. And so what they do is, because of this jealousy, because of this inherent jealousy, they narrate things like boys and girls are same. Because if I cannot get attention, you should also not get attention. If I cannot feel femininity, you must also not feel femininity. I will not rise up to your level, but I can always drag you down to my level. And when they go out in this society, they tell you things which kind of triggers your greed, your feeling that you may not be sufficient. They say that if you are happily married, they will say, why you are not working? If you are happy with your relationship, they would say, that guy is not really that good. So then you are always getting manipulated by those from your class 6 or class 7 days, by those girls who feel threatened by your presence, who feel jealous, who feel violent, who felt aggressive. And they always created a narration that suits them. And that narration was played so much time because there is hardly the energetic, beautiful girls are hard in number. It takes, your parents can give you a good face, but taking care of the body needs a real deal. It's a hard work. Having a good skin is a hard work. Having a long hair is a hard work. It's extremely hard work. So what people do not realize is that a girl who is looking beautiful is not a God gift. She is working on her body. Her body is like a temple. You worked on your body in your youth, which other people did not. So it was a hard work. But because other people could not work in their body, they always saw you as a proud girl, as a very proudy girl. And when they had power, when they had husbands who were in the positions, slowly a narration was created that takes those females who are really genuinely beautiful, feminine, energetic, full of life, to give them those little insecurities that you are insufficient. You are insufficient till you study. Not that people were appreciating you. People were manipulating you to lose your femininity. People all around you manipulated you to lose your femininity, including your parents. I said, my daughter is a very mature daughter. Daughter is a daughter. Small little girl, to be given love, to be taught, to be disciplined, not dumped aggression. Your mother dumped her aggression onto you. Mood swing, whenever she felt bad, she screamed on you. And then she told you to become independent and strong. She told you to become guy-like. She appreciated you whenever you brought some prize. She felt good that way. So this is the first category of girl. And if you are good looking, if you are good looking, if you are feminine, long hair, whom guys really looked at when you were in college, then You are being manipulated to lose your femininity by those of your schoolmates who got threatened by you because they were not as beautiful as you. And this is what I call princessarchy. In 13, when the girls are 13 and 14 years old, there is a competition who is more beautiful, who gets more attention, who is given more attention by the society, and the guys who looks better. There is a competition. There is a rough competition out there. We call it a princessarchy, princess pyramid. So at the top there are these beautiful girls. At the bottom there are those who are jealous of them. Of course, because it's hard to rise, because it's hard to, it's very hard to take care of the skin, to take care of the emotions, to take care of the hairs, to take care of happiness, to take care of each and everything. One can do, one can remove hair from the skin, from legs, but to have that smooth skin, smooth butter-like skin, a girl has to really work on herself. She has to write poetry, she has to read. And so a beautiful girl is not beautiful girl by the gift of the nature. She has worked on to herself. That's a skill, that's a quality. That's not God gift. That's not proud. And of course, if somebody is working on herself, she would be proud of herself. That I have created so many scientific theories. I have authored book. I've written thousands of articles. I've taught 28,000 students. Shouldn't I be proud of myself? That's a 30 years of continuous work, public service. So we have to be proud of ourselves. Otherwise, how am I going to get motivated to get up tomorrow and teach? Hard, right? So if you are a beautiful girl, you were manipulated, and if you were those who were those bottom of this princessarchy, who did not consider themselves as beautiful, and this was the girl who were working with you. Remember, always some girls wants to be around a beautiful girl so that they also get, and you might not have ever walked alone. You might have always taken a second fiddle with you who accompanied you. You thought that you were walking around with a friend, but she was essentially extremely jealous of you. She was trying to get a pie of the attention that you were drawing. She hoped that by being with you, she will improve or she will get people's attention. She was not your friend. She was jealous of you. She hated you. That is the reason in most colleges, if you look very closely, a guy ends up marrying the roommate of the girl that he is in love, quote unquote. He is in a romantic relationship in the college. So a guy is in a romantic relationship with a girl in the college, but marries the room partner. Okay. So this is how the first layer of narrative manipulation gets played. And if you were in that bottom of the pyramid, then your parents, it's responsibility of your parents. Because your parents thought that, my God, my girl is not all that beautiful and it's going to be very hard for me to marry her. If she becomes a doctor, if she becomes an engineer, if she becomes something, then it would be easier for us to get her married, and she is not going to get any attention, and we are not going to be we don't have a social status. Poor thinking, lack of knowledge, lack of empathy, small mindset. A girl is always valuable for the society because she can give a baby. A girl who cannot give a baby to the society has no value. Alright? Why? Imagine if you are 50-year-old and you do not have a child. Your body is in the maintenance mode, and we'll discuss now. And you are tired, you are suffering. There is no youngsters in the hospital. There is no hospital. no nurse to take care of you, no youngsters for your surgery, no youngsters to take you to hospital. Can you imagine that miserable life? So in this society, we always have to do our role. We have to find our replacement. We have to mentor them. It's our responsibility. If we don't do that, then when we go old, when we grow old, how would our old age be safe? I may have thousands of words, but I have to teach you. I have to teach this society, because if I teach, out of 10,000, probably 10 couples, 10 girls, 10 guys, 10 guys will become man, 10 girls will become girlish. They will take care of their family. Maybe someday, if I am older, these 10 people who got benefited, they will take care of me. That's how we think. And that is the reason, because guys cannot give birth to babies. Society is dependent on the girls. So a parent who thinks that by becoming doctor and engineer, a girl will solve their problem, no, they could not. When a girl becomes a mother and she helps growing up a healthy baby, she is immensely valuable for the society. You do not know how much love the housewives get, and how much indebted we are for the housewives, so-called housewives. They are the mothers. They are raising healthy children. So if you were at the bottom of those princess circle where you saw some other proudy girl in your class getting all the attention, then you have this extreme jealousy going inside you. And jealousy always leads to thyroid disorder. Remember this. One of the core reasons for thyroid disorder is pathological jealousy. And I have done a scientific research, clinical research on effect of pathological jealousy on thyroid disorder and thyroid cancer. Please look in Google, my name, Lifers, research paper. You will see how pathological jealousy makes you cancerous. So when you are suffering with pathological jealousy, your energy is always negative, and in that negative energy, brain cannot interlink those personalities. So sometimes you are a wife, you are acting the role of a wife, but you are not at that moment. In your brain, you are thinking about your role as a daughter. So there is an overlap, you see. You are trying to love your son, but in the back of the mind, your childhood is playing. I was not respected as a girl. I will make my son respect the woman. You are not at that moment. Because of the jealousy, there is a negative energy which will always overload other set of memories when you are into a moment. You are with your husband, but you are thinking about the office politics. You are with your father, but you are thinking about how other girl is with her father. So there is always this memory overloading where you are playing a role, and your brain is loading memory from the past, from the other roles. Up to the age of 30, you can handle this. But after the age of 30, that's when cortisol starts exhausting in the female who over pushes. Your brain's ability to hold on to these personalities becomes impossible, because your brain loses neuroplasticity. So there is this dopamine which connects different layers of child. You as a small child is stored here in this part of the brain, then your college life is stored in this part of the brain, your white persona is stored in this part of the brain, your daughter persona is stored in this part of the brain. Different regions of brain has different personalities. So brain remembers how you should act, how you should smile, how you should talk, what is your behavior, all this in these different personalities. Now there are weird connection with these different areas. As you become 30, our brain loses neuroplasticity, more so of the girls, because you are exhausted. Our brain is only 3% of the body mass. If this is the body, this is the brain. Only 3% of the body mass is our brain, but it consumes about 30% of the energy. If you are eating 3 breads, 1 bread is going into your brain. So what remains in the rest of the body? Now, when the rest of the body is crushing, is falling apart, what strategy body is going to take? Of course, they are going to give less roti, less bread to your brain, right? Because the body has to recover now. That's why body reduce energy to the brain. Brain gets now only half bread. That's why brain disconnects most of the reasons. So when you are playing the role of a daughter, there is an anomaly, and it does not link to when you want to shift to a wife. The path does not exist that takes you from daughter to wife. So there is a little daughter, little wife, then little child, little matured, and as your wear and tear increases, then at that stage you push more, you start forgetting your memory. The first sign of borderline personality disorder is abnormal memory. You start forgetting. That's your first trigger point. When you start forgetting, it means that your body is reducing the energy supply to the brain. And then this starts getting overlapped. That's why borderline personality disorder is called neurotic disorder, because there is a randomness. Now the neurons are not connecting smoothly. You cannot connect your current self with your childhood. There is no this pathway. It doesn't know what is the context. It is not connecting this. So there are always neurons are trying very hard from different paths to reach there. That's why it's called a neurotic disorder, because your neurons are not able to connect in a way to smoothly connect all your personalities. So whenever we have a neurotic disorder, that means whenever there are neurons who are not able to connect, we have this section of the brain is called hypothalamus, right? This section of the brain is called hypothalamus. So you start having pain over here, not on the scalp, but it is inside. But this is the axis, right? Inside the brain, there is a hypothalamus. A hypothalamus acts as a bridge between the electrical circuits, the chemical mechanisms of the body, the hormones and the electrons. So, hypothalamus signals the pituitary gland, our thyroid gland, which generates the thyroid, which is required for our cardiovascular health. So, what happens is the hypothalamus to pituitary signal becomes very, very improper. Right? Hypothalamus to pituitary signal becomes very improper. So our heart rate increases because our heart is not able to make sense how much it should beat, because at some times it is getting a signal that beat at 150 beats per minute. Immediately it is getting a signal beat at 60 beats per minute, because it is not able to, your brain is not able to connect those personalities, connect those memories, right? And without those connections, you cannot function, because you are a social animal. If you have to interact with the society, you have to connect all these personalities. And if your brain is not able to connect those personalities, your brain is going to try harder. But it cannot, because your body has limited energy to the brain. Body is saying, you go down, you have taken a lot of energy, you have not served your purpose, we are suffering, we need more energy. And so body tries to recover. Now your brain gets 0.25 bread. All your life it was getting about 1 bread, now it gets 0.25 bread, and the neuroplasticity reduces further. The brain doesn't want to produce dopamine, brain doesn't want to connect those, because whenever the memories are connected, if you are of course using your mobile in the airplane mode, the battery is going to last for 1 week. But if you are watching YouTube in your mobile, battery is going to last for 4 hours. It's a simple mechanism. So if brain puts itself in the airplane mode, no personality connection, and no energy expenditure, then of course your battery is going to last longer because your brain wants you to live longer, right? You have aged faster, as I said. You have pushed your body, you have aged faster. When you are 30, your body is like 40-year-old and your brain doesn't want to die early. So brain uses this mechanism of battery saving. It put itself in the airplane mode where nothing is connected. That is the reason. Then once this neurotism happens, hypothalamus is not sending right signal to our pituitary gland and our heart rate is varying. Our heart is connected with the kidney, with the renal artery, right? The problem is the kidney doesn't get right signal because, when kidney is a filter. Have you ever filtered tea? You take a filter and you pour tea liquid on that, and if you are removing that tea filter, will your tea fall down nicely? So kidney cannot move, right? Your filter cannot move. Suppose you are filtering tea and this is moving. You are keeping the tea filter moving like this and you are putting tea. Of course that filter cannot filter, a lot of water will be spilled. So therefore kidney gets angry, and on the top of the kidney, like a triangular shape, there is an adrenal gland. And from the adrenal gland, kidney generates adrenaline hormone, which is norepinephrine, which is very high for the guys because they have to work harder. So whenever the energy has to increase, whenever the power has to increase, it's a power mode. Adrenaline hormone has to be produced by the adrenal gland. But irrespective of how much accelerator you put, petrol you put, engine oil you put, if the engine has a wear and tear, how would it work faster? But the kidney doesn't care. Kidney wants you to have more anger, solve the problem so that it is not shaking. No, it is like that, symbolically. Not that kidney starts shaking, but that entire process, because kidney, all organs in our body, they are controlled by the nerves, right? If the nerves current are not right, kidney's functioning is not right. Imagine that, what is the worst thing in life, the corporation is not working, the sewage is not clean. Imagine you are going to your toilet every day and there is no water. You can live without food for 10 days, but just to think that you don't have water in your toilet, it will stink your body, right? That's what happens at the kidney. And that's why, because of this adrenaline, high adrenaline, it's a masculine hormone. You are now more like man. Its body is trying to become like a man and push. And so it produces a male hormone, pheromone. A male hormone gets produced when the man sweats in order to attract girls. But now your body starts producing that. So after memory loss, the next thing is the inability to feel connected. Inability to correlate all this different percentage. The third stage that you suffer is stinky body. You use a lot of perfumes, but your body stinks. You get sweaty and it stinks. That's an excessive adrenaline, and then there is a male hormone which gets produced. So your body produces a lot of male hormones and you feel very, very stinky. Then it produces a lot of testosterone and adrenaline. When they produce that, your facial hair increases, your hair in the hands increases because these are the hair. Your pubic hair increases, your legs hair increases. You have a lot of hair in the armpit. They keep increasing because of this high testosterone and adrenaline, because these are the hair which are run by that. And when testosterone increases, of course estrogen, your main hormone, will come down. Body is not unlimited, right? Our scalp hair has a lot of estrogen receptor. Because the estrogen supply in the scalp gets reduced, the hair fall starts. Hair fall is not a disease. Hair fall is not a disease. It's not because of the water as you have tried to make yourself feel good with. Hair fall is again a sign to a girl that she is not feeling herself. Her emotions are not right. So a girl will have hair fall only and only when she has stopped feeling herself. There is no gel in the world who can stop your hair fall. It is just targeting your insecurities. It is just telling you that no, you are not responsible. It can be fixed, but it doesn't. You have tried all the therapies, right? Hair fall doesn't stop. That's because the problem is not with the hair. It is internal. Okay. After the hair fall and body smell, then even your testosterone starts getting exhausted. When your testosterone also starts getting exhausted, your body then, because now your brain doesn't care you as a child, your teenage. So now brain has to work with a small part of the brain. You see, this entire brain gets limited into a small part, and brain has to remember few of the things. So all the other personalities are being shut down in the brain. There is no point in keeping them active, right? Because brain cannot connect them. Now, even when you try to feel your childhood, you don't feel them anymore. Even when you try to feel the childhood, you don't feel it anymore. You don't just feel, so you are just dead. You are just dead from internally. No emotions, no feelings. And if you cannot feel yourself, what you can give to the world? Nothing. One who cannot give anything to herself, what she will give to others? Nothing. So people slowly start going away from you. You will see a change of attitude in your husband, change of attitude in the society. They're just avoiding you. The friends, old friends who were so good with you, you thought they were the friends for the life, but they're avoiding you. Because nobody wants to be with a negative person, nobody wants to be with a person who has nothing to offer. You have nothing to offer. You may have a big body, but you have nothing to offer because internally your brain is operating with a small memory. Even if you go out, you would not be feeling your friends. Even if you try to be happy, you would not be feeling your friends. And that's when neuroticism starts becoming psychosis. Psychosis is a personality disorder permanency. After this, there is no reversal. Then you go more towards bipolar disorder or other disorders. At that time, brain creates a mechanism to tell you that this is your fate, this is your state. A permanent alteration of the way your brain functions. That psychosis. Neurosis is when brain is not able to interlink the sections of the brain. Psychosis is when brain has turned off most of the parts. Your memory has completely gone. Your feeling for your past is gone. You don't feel your current. There is nothing. And the problem is because you have never learned, your parents have never taught you, society has never taught you to look deep inside yourself. You try to find rationalization. You think that your husband is betraying you. You think that the water is responsible for falling your hair. You blame your children to give you mood swing, lot of responsibilities. I am stressed. No. Deep inside. Just deep inside. People are saying, you have accelerated. You have exhausted. You have no feelings. A girl without a feeling is a dead body. Irrespective of how beautifully you preserve mummies inside a pyramid, it's still a mummy. Society doesn't deal with mummies, it deals with life. And so, you see the world has changed in reality. You have stopped living and you don't want to accept that. That's when your body, this is the state. So after it becomes psychosis, that the other parts are actually turned off and brain no more looks to connect them. You don't feel shooting pain in your brain. So one of the primary conditions at the time of hair fall, you might have noticed that you have a lot of shooting pain. That shooting pain doesn't exist anymore because no other memory exists, no other feelings exist. Your feeling as a college student, gone. Your feeling as a small child, gone. There is no feeling. You think about the past, no feeling, gone. So the pain is also gone. But going away of the pain is not a sign of healing, it is a sign of the next stage. In the phase 2, you feel very sleepy because now body wants to turn off. Because when you drive the car at 150 km per hour for 6 hours, then you have to stop the car at some place, open the bonnet and let the engine cool down, right? There is no other way. You cannot keep on putting water and drive car at 150 km per hour. So when the car's engine is extremely hot and the fume is coming out of that engine continuously, you stop the car, open the bonnet, and you might have to give it 2 days of rest. Yes, car needs rest. The human body doesn't get it. You don't understand this. And therefore, what specifically happens at the phase 2 is you still do not stop the car and you keep driving. So brain turns off the engine and you feel sleepy. You kind of feel sleepy all the time. It is basically the way brain is trying to somehow cool down the engine. But then you become you were so ignorant about yourself that you even pushed yourself in that. If a car's fume is coming, if the engine is hot, we don't drive that car. But when your body wanted that rest, you did not give it a rest. You just pushed. And so the engine breaks down at the next level. Because of the excess heat generated inside your body, you have a condition called inflammation. Of course, because when you are driving the engine at 150 km speed for 6 hours, you stop the car, open the bonnet. Can you touch that engine? Don't do that, but can you touch that engine? Your skin will come out. There will be blisters on your skin, right? Because it has pushed, it has generated a lot of heat. The exact same thing happens inside your body also. We all have cooked food. So whenever you are cooking, there are 2 types of cooking. The fried, we keep the flames higher and you cook. Right? Something like cutlet, when you want to cook, you want to fry it. And then there is a slow cooking. There are some dishes you make, you put the kadai and then you let it cook in the small flame. And in that, you can put your finger, no problem. You can put your finger and see whether it has cooked or not. You pick up a potato and you can see whether it has cooked up or not. But when you are frying cutlet, or let's say chili chicken, can you put your finger in the deep fried oil? You can't. What will happen? Your hand will burn. And I'm sure while cooking, when you were cooking, many times at the time of frying things, the oil must have spilled over to your skin and you must have had blisters in your skin. That's what happened inside your body. There are blisters all over your ovaries. There are blisters all over your ovaries. That's the reason in borderline personality disorder, after the age of 30, every female gets into an ovarian syndrome, polycystic ovaries, fibrosis, body has just a lot of inflammation. So what doctor suggests, just cut it off. If you cut off the part of the engine, the problem is not solved. Can you move a car by removing one of the doors? Or the coolant tank. Coolant tank is heated. Can you remove that coolant tank and run? No. Your body needed rest. But the doctor suggested that you remove that. So many of the females, they remove their ovaries. But that doesn't solve the problem. Problem is here, not there. This is just suffering the heat. If you are heating a karai, and if you are cooking, if you are frying something like cutlet, if you put the finger inside that, your finger will be burned. The problem is not with the finger, the problem is with that karai. The problem is the boiling of the brain, it is not in the ovary, so they remove the ovary. If your finger you dip inside the oil, the finger will have blisters. Will you cut down that finger, or will you close the gas flame? Of course, you are not going to cut out the fingers, but that's what medical science tells you. Cut off your fingers. So you cut off your ovaries. Most females with borderline personality disorder, because of this ovarian syndrome, will stop menstruating right at the age of 30, 32, 34. No menstruation, because your body cannot have eggs in that environment. Your body just cannot produce eggs in that much of heat. It will get fried. The egg will be damaged. So there is no reproduction. It's not possible then. They stop menstruating. And then what you do? You go and take hormone therapy. The problem is not estrogen. Body had to lower the estrogen. The problem was with the highly inflamed kadai where you were cooking cutlet. So you have to stop cooking the cutlet. But instead what you do? You go and take hormone therapy. Again, the externally. See, people are manipulating you, consumerizing you, are eating you from all corners. A female is like a meat. Everybody wants a piece of it. You are like a meat. Everybody wants a piece of it. So they give you hormone replacement therapy. Initially, you feel good because there is estrogen, but your body has got resistant to estrogen. Irrespective of how much you put, your body is not going to be able to receive them. Right? Your body is not going to be... See, you have cooked in the kitchen. When you are frying something, initially you keep the flame high, but then when you put cutlet, it starts burning. What do? You reduce the flame, right? You don't do that, right? Because at a very high heat, if you put any frying things, that frying object will get burnt. Chicken will get burnt. Anything, puri, if you are an Indian woman, if you are putting puri, you don't cook puri in a hot oil. You reduce the flame, don't you? But here what you do, you go and put more estrogen. So when the oil is burning hot, what do? You put more oil. And so in third phase, all this nonsense starts. Because everybody needs a pie of the female meat. There is a wellness industry which is going to tell you how to eat, what not. The problem is not what you eat. The problem is here, that karai. But they'll tell you what to eat. Then they'll give you a gadget to track yourself. Then they'll ask how to do exercise and yoga. You cannot do yoga because your brain has stopped working the way it should work. The yoga doesn't work. You feel meditated, but that doesn't work because the nerves which yoga targets doesn't exist anymore. The electrical connection doesn't exist. If you don't have power supply, you bring a new equipment. You are working with mobile, the mobile is getting out of the battery. But now what you do, you get a new mobile. You put it in the power plug. The problem is there is no power for 15 hours. So the new mobile will not work. That's how the world. And let's see. After this stage, because hypothalamus pituitary adrenaline, we call it a HPA axis, because of the inflammatory HPA axis and extremely heavy load on the heart, the amount of negative ions inside your cells increases, inside your atoms. And in order to compensate for that, we require the sodium ion that drives the heart is not sufficient. So it has to, because sodium ion is only +1 charged, it needs more. So it then starts taking out the calcium from your bones. Calcium is +2 charged, so that it can manage the electrical activity of your body. Now your electrical circuit is completely screwed. So your body has to supply a lot of calcium to these cells. That's why you start feeling teeth pain, shoulder pain. But then what you do? Take out the teeth. What you do? Take massage. The problem is not with the massage. The body has to feel the negative charge inside your body. But again, a female is a meat, everybody wants a piece out of that. People give you validation because you don't want to hear that you have a problem. You're good to give any money as long as people tell you that no, it is not you who is responsible. But that doesn't solve the problem, does it? Unless we acknowledge what is the problem, we never solve it. So people are afraid that if they tell you what is the truth, you are not going to pay them any money. Everybody wants a meat out of the females. Anyways, then so because of this extraordinary replacement of sodium plus ion with the calcium ion, now this is the situation which we call hypercalcemia. Hypercalcemia is it puts extreme load on your heart and your arteries. Your arteries are not fixed pipe, they are very elastic. So the arteries also has to work in tandem with the heart. The artery has an elasticity. It sometimes, when the more blood pressure is required, it has to get smaller, then bigger. This way it manages. But then calcium gets inside these arteries. What is calcium? It forms calcium oxide and arteries become stiff. You bring calcium, you bring the housing, the paint, and you put it in the kitchen sink. What will happen? The sink will jam, right? Kitchen pipe will get jammed when you keep putting. Bring chalk, crush chalk in your mixie and put one bunch of chalk every day inside your kitchen sink. Flush it with water. What will happen? Of course, it will get choked. That's what happens. Your arteries get choked. So that's why females with borderline personality disorder starts having cardiovascular problem from the age of 40. Many females suffer sudden cardiac arrest. Many of the borderline personality disorder suffers from palpitation of the heart, which is called arterial fibrillation. It's a condition, and when the heart and kidney doesn't work, for the blood, hemoglobin cells are made inside your bone marrow. Signal is given by the kidney. When the kidney is not stable, it is not able to give right signals to your bone marrow, and so your bone marrow is not able to produce right amount of hemoglobin. So then the next stage is you start having anemia. You start seeing anemia. Your blood reduces. So you have a problem. You are not able to think yourself, right? Then your thyroid gland is not optimal. So you have a thyroid problem, and if you have a thyroid problem, it will completely shake your brain. If you have a thyroid problem, you'll have shaking heart. If you have shaking heart, you'll have anxiety. If you have anxiety, you'll have blood pressure. Thereafter, you'll have hypercalcemia. After hypercalcemia, you will feel the shoulder, teeth, here. After that, you will, because when you start putting chalk powder, what will happen? The water will be dried. So your skin will be dried. You will feel dry throat. You will suffer from dry vagina. Your vagina will be extremely dry. You feel dry hands. There will be dryness. After that, your stomach will stop producing enough acid. So it will not be able to digest the food, and your body is tired. It will seek more food, but stomach cannot digest. You will have acidity because the lack of acid inside your stomach, and those acid will have an acid reflux. You would have an acid reflux. What you'll do? Again, everybody wants a pie of the female meat. You go to a doctor, doctor gives you antacid. The problem is that the acid production in the stomach is reduced because body doesn't want you to eat. What do you do? You eat more and put antacid. Antacid again comes with a warning of a kidney damage. So it damages your kidney. When the kidney uterus axis gets damaged, then you start having things like, because there is the bacteria that is protecting you have died because the water is gone. In the female vagina, there is a lot of bacteria. There is a lot of bacterial colony. In the gut, there is a bacterial colony. So when the dryness appears, all this bacteria starts dying. So your body cannot, all these bacteria does multiple roles. They protect you from the other harmful pathogens. Also at the same time, they help you to absorb the micronutrients, which is like vitamin, which are vitamin minerals. So what you do? Everybody wants a pie of the female meat. You again go, nutritionist gives you supplement, zinc, magnesium. The problem is not that your body lacks minerals. Come on, the gut microbiome is dead. The gut microbiome has to absorb that is dead. So whatever you put these minerals, they again become toxic because there is nothing that can take those minerals inside your cell. The problem is that. The problem is that there is nobody to absorb that. But what you do? You overload with manganese, minerals, zinc. Industry, everybody wants a piece of the female meat. That industry. Alright. And because this bacteria dies, you generally have UTI, inflammatory vagina. The vagina will always be feeling like dry and burning. And then finally, when you come to 50, your body will collapse in different ways. It's just a luck. Somebody's kidney will collapse fast. Somebody's heart will collapse fast. Somebody's liver will collapse fast. Somebody's kidney will get damaged fast. Or in some cases, the calcium ion becomes so higher that they will have cancer. Now, it's not that you have cancer or heart disease. The problem is you had a borderline personality disorder. It was an emotional issue. It was an emotional issue which has grown to a unhandleable situation. And at that situation, who cares? Sometimes your neck will go, sometimes your teeth will go, sometimes your heart will go, and they will keep going because car, after the engine is gone, it will go to maintenance. Then there is no repair. It will have to be maintained more heavily. Will you go for a countrywide tour in a car which is going for maintenance in every year, every week? You would not. You want to get rid of that car. And that's why the society just doesn't want to deal with you anymore. They want to get rid of you. It's harsh. That's the reality. Now the choice is yours. Life is yours. Decisions are yours. Brain is yours. Ovary is yours. Choice is yours and consequences are yours too. That's all for the classes. So if you have hair fall, stinky body, UTI, teeth pain, neck pain, acidity, constipation, palpitation of the heart, shooting pain in the brain, dry mouth, dry skin, dry vagina, feeling aggressive, all of them together, a sign that you are in a borderline personality disorder. Nothing is isolated from the other. I'm leaving you with a self-assessment test. You can do borderline personality disorder self-assessment test with my online clinically validated tool. I'm also leaving you with a female health premier. You can read that in detail. I'm also leaving you behind with more understanding of the borderline personality disorder with our paper, and of course those of you who wants to start managing their borderline personality disorder, I do also teach hundreds of girls every year. I work with you, and the car cannot be taken back to the first stage, initial stage, but we have to learn how not to let the car break down. It's a quality of life. It's again start feeling yourself, and I help you with that. Please write to me at R for Rajasthan, U for Umbrella, P for Pune, A for Ahmedabad, M for Mumbai, Rupam, dot, that is full stop, IICS, India, Calcutta, Sachin, at gmail.com. You can write me, or you can drop a message from the site. I'll be soon starting those courses, and if you are a man who managed to hear this episode up to this, and I doubt there will be anyone, because you are anyways not interested in the females, right? You are now like them. You want to just complain and you want to blame females for all your misery, and you are interested in, you are self-obsessed in your life. But if there is any sane man who has managed to stay up to this point of the video, and I doubt there won't be any, but if there is any, please do get this book, Intimacy Lost for Man, The Birth of the Logan, that I am keeping a link, and you'd realize what fascinating females are. That's all for this class. Thank you.